Okay, so last time we went over the iMac G5, had to prefer some upgrades, SSD, RAM, and didn't really go quite as expected. So I went ahead and ordered some RAM, two 1 gig sticks, trying to max it out, as well as an OWC SSD 250 gig. Probably a little overkill in terms of size, but hopefully it'll work. It's listed as being compatible, so let's get to it. Now I'm still going to have the problem with the SSD not fitting in here with the bracket. I didn't get a bracket for it. Maybe should have, but at the time I was ordering, I really didn't think of it until after the fact. And well, at this point, whatever. I can always just use some double-sided tape or something to keep it in there. I know, not exactly professional, but since when does this channel ever claim to be professional? So the RAM opened up here, and might as well get the SSD open too. Tear across dotted line. That didn't work out very well. Yeah, okay, perfect, good enough. We'll do the RAM first since it's going to be much easier. Definitely easier than opening up these packages. There, now we gotta remove the drive. Grab some double-sided tape here, and the SSD itself. Now, provided this works, I will actually go with and get a bracket for it. Oh, that's not gonna work either, is it? Double-sided tape, it'll be too low. Well, whatever. For now, it should be good enough. I just want to see if it's going to work before I even do too much else. No sense in overdoing everything if it's not going to work. Alrighty, now let's fire her up and see what happens. USB on the first try, that's a good sign. Good sign there. Could get a flashing back folder. Now, what did I do with my copy of Leopard? And I'll probably have to speed this part up because it does take a while to boot off of a DVD. So really taking its sweet time, that's for sure. I don't remember if it took this long before or not. I know I had some trouble before getting it to boot a couple of times, and I ended up doing a cold boot. We'll see. I'll let it run further. Alright, so I think something's wrong. I'm gonna shut it down and start it back up. See what we can get going here. Alright, we'll try a clean boot here. And yeah, I shut the lights off in the room here to focus more on the screen. You'll see a little bit of glare. It should go away once the screen lights up. Let's try again. Yeah, there was definitely something wrong earlier because this was much faster. So let's see if I can zoom in on the screen a little bit better. That should be better. All right. Moment of truth. Was this all for naught, or am I going to get somewhere? Kind of nervous, I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping I don't need some sort of update to this Mac before I can actually use an SSD, but we'll find out now if it works or not. There it is. Okay, cool. So thumbs up there. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with an installation. You're not gonna see it on camera because it's gonna take freaking forever, but we'll make do. Let's just go ahead and make sure we can actually erase it. Call it Macintosh SSD. macOS Extended. Partitioning, so far so good. And hopefully that's it. Click disk installer, hit continue, agree, whatever you want. Options, install, we'll continue. Put a customize real quick just to check some options out. You know what? We have plenty of space. We're going to install it all, baby. And install. And we'll continue once this is done. So install is done. I'm going to have to mute it during the welcome video because I'm pretty sure the music's copyrighted, so sorry. All right, and we're gonna skip this part here, and we're gonna skip this part here, and we'll call this Oztech because I'm vain. You don't need a password. Yeah, I'll register, you know. Don't worry about it. So everything seems to be working so far. I'm gonna have to install all the updates and everything to get it up to 10.5.8. Probably install 10.4 Fox because Safari's not gonna be able to do much on the web. And I want to get the benchmarking tool installed on here with the SSD and the 2 gigs of RAM so that we can compare it to having 512 megs of RAM and a mechanical drive. So I'll get that going. I won't bore you guys with those details. And next time we resume the video, you'll see all that stuff there, hopefully. So I got the updates installed. Everything was successful. So what I'm going to do now is show benchmarks from before the upgrade, meaning with the mechanical drive and the 512 megs of RAM. And then I'll show the benchmarks after the upgrade. Wow. Retro community, how's everyone doing? So if you remember, a couple of weeks ago I released a video on the iMac G5 variant, and we went over it a little bit, some of its specs, its history, and did a preliminary teardown. Well, today we're going to go ahead and fully tear it down, well, enough to replace the hard drive and add some additional RAM and maybe a bit of cleaning, because some of these fans and other areas have some dust on it, so I want to get them cleaned out. So let's go ahead, rip it open, and continue on. Now, this generation of iMac only has 3 screws that you have to loosen in order to remove the back casing. And these are captive screws, so they do not come out. You just have to unscrew the 3, and the case will just lift up as we showed in part 1. They're just standard Phillips though, so you don't need anything other than that in order to loosen them up. Now this is back in the day when Apple products were still easy to service. Hey Retro community, how's everyone doing? So if you remember, a couple of weeks ago I released a video on the iMac G5 variant, and we went over it a little bit, some of its specs, its history, and did a preliminary teardown. Well, today we're going to go ahead and fully tear it down, well, enough to replace the hard drive and add some additional RAM and maybe give it a good cleaning, because some of these fans and other areas have some dust on it, so I want to get them cleaned out. So let's go ahead, rip it open, and continue on. Now this generation of iMac only has 3 screws that you have to loosen in order to remove the back casing. And these are captive screws, so they do not come out. You just have to unscrew the 3, and the case will just lift up as we showed in part 1. They're just standard Phillips though, so you don't need anything other than that in order to loosen them up. Now this is back in the day when Apple products were still easy to service. So yeah, interesting results there, especially with the amount of time it took to run Geekbench. I don't know if it's because the additional RAM requires more tests, or it takes longer to run the test, or what have you. Maybe that's what it is. But it did get a little bit of a higher score, and again, I'm attributing that to the RAM, not necessarily the disk. Unfortunately, I didn't grab any benchmarks of disk performance. I didn't think of it before I finished this video up, so maybe I'll do a quick one. And just drop a random video in the middle of the week showing just a quick benchmark. But the YouTube thing was kind of interesting too. I was only able to get it at 144p on the mechanical drive with 512 megs of RAM, and it was still a slideshow. Anything above that just basically crashed the browser. The fact that it was even attempting 480p with the upgraded equipment shows how much of an improvement it was. And when I dropped it down to 360p, it was a lot less of a slideshow and it was almost fluid. I'm sure if I dropped it down further, I probably could have played the video without any stuttering. At least the audio stayed in sync. So, interesting results. I would say that it's definitely worth the upgrades in my opinion, especially if you're going to be doing any kind of retro stuff on there or anything from that era, gaming, things like that. It will be a huge upgrade for you going to an SSD and maxing out the RAM. Probably the RAM more so than the SSD, but it's going to be up to you to decide what you want to do. But that's it for today, and I'm pretty sure that that's it for this series. Maybe I'll revisit this sometime in the future if additional upgrades come out. Maybe I'll test out some other software on there, some games from the era, see how they perform, and we'll go from there. So yeah, if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down, but please leave a comment below as to why so I can try to use that to make improvements going forward. Thanks all, and I'll catch you later.